Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to another review of a piece of rolling stock. Today I've got a Dapol wagon to show you, but with a bit of a difference. So, I'm sorry to admit it, but I've done something a little bit naughty. I was taking a look on Dapol's website this time, just for a change, seeing what sort of things they had, and I came across their specials page where they had some real bargains going on. One that stood out to me in particular was this. It is an LMS egg van, which is not something I'd heard about before. Quite interesting, I thought. The RRP for these was very inexpensive. I think it was £12.22. It was a strange number. I don't know how they came to that. Let me see, what was it? Oh, sorry, I was 1 pence off. It was £12.21. But by modern standards, that's not a lot to pay for a wagon. However, they were about 46% off. Again, a very strange percentage off. I don't know what was going on, but I'm not complaining because I got this for £6.50. However, and this is where the slight difference comes in. That wasn't enough, as you know. Well, I like to put rakes together and things, so I didn't just buy one. I didn't just buy two. In fact, I'm not going to be able to hold them all. But basically, to cut a bit of a convoluted story short, this is going to get dangerous. I'm not going to stack these up. Right, there's 7 of them. So I'm going to be opening them today, basically. I don't know why I just didn't say that instead of trying all this. But we're going to get them out, see what they're like. Are they any good for £6.50? Who knows? Now, unfortunately, this morning, just before filming, I've just checked Dapol's website and they don't have any more in stock. However, after I film this, I will take a look at Hatton's and see if they've got any in stock. And if they have, I'll include a link in the description so you can check them out for yourself. For now, though, let's get these out and find out what they're like for the first time. So yeah, £6.50 is quite an astonishing price. It's actually well worth taking a look on Dapol's website from time to time, because I don't think I've ever paid less than £6.50 for a brand new piece of non-Hornby Railroad rolling stock, possibly with the exception of the Hornby Shunters truck, but apart from that, yeah, I think this has to be the best. So I'm going to get 6 of these out of the way. Basically, I bought 50 quid's worth, so I got 7, and I think it came to £49, something. So it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. So I'll show you the end of the box then. So this is 4F-011-012. It's an LMS egg van number 511282. I'm guessing that's the running number. Vent van, and it is weathered. And yeah, that's another thing. So I suppose the weathering would add a bit to the value as well, wouldn't it? These are not just pristine. So with that, there's not an awful lot to see on the outside of the box, so let's get this out and find out what exactly we get for £6.50. I'm very interested to see. Okay, so it's not the standard sort of block of ice packaging, so to speak. It seems to be quite an interesting little plastic pocket, actually. Okay, and it opens up like a door. That's quite good, actually, isn't it? It's not too complicated, as sometimes rolling stock packaging can be, and it seems to be more than adequate. You know, you don't necessarily need a really, really ultra-infallible package for a piece of rolling stock. Right, so first impressions then are pretty good, I must say. There's quite a bit of weight to this. It's certainly heavier than the Oxford cattle van that I last looked at. The weathering looks reasonably good, can't really complain there. I've noticed it's got metal wheels, which are obviously worth quite a lot. It has got NEM couplings, which sets this apart from some of the Hornby vans that I've got. In fact, let me grab a few similar vans and we'll see how they differ. Okay, I'm back. So we've got this one. This one is a similar sort of priced van, at least. It's a Western Region one from Hornby. As you can see, this one's got a very, very, very similar level of detail, I would say. However, obviously it's not weathered and it doesn't have the NEM couplings. So as far as couplings are concerned, yes, there's quite a difference there. Besides that, though, they seem very, very similar. In fact, I'm starting to wonder whether at least the chassis is almost the same thing, which makes you wonder because obviously Hornby and Dapol have had connections before, haven't they? Obviously Hornby sold the Dapol Terriers for many years after they presumably acquired them. So yeah, possibly parts of these two wagons are the same, although looking very closely at the underframe, I don't really think so. I think there are differences there. But oh well, it makes an interesting comparison. And then I've got this one, which I think is also, this is an Airfix one, but it struck me that the actual body of this wagon here looks very, very similar. So this is a blue circle product, CMC, whatever that means. Yeah, to me that looks like the same wagon. So this is obviously, if that's correct, this is obviously an old Airfix wagon. However, as you can see, the level of detail looks reasonably good on this. So yeah, not too displeased with this. For £6.50, that's exactly what you want. And it's not very often, besides the Hornby Railroad stuff, that you actually get older rolling stock, which can still be made to look decent with a bit of weathering, as is the case with this, and a decent bit of livery, but still sold for a decent price, which I think says a lot and is worth a lot, isn't it? So I'm going to get another one of these out. I'm not going to unbox them all for you because I think that would drive you mad, but I can't remember whether they're all exactly the same. I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, just to make sure there's no sort of major differences. No, not really. I've noticed this one, the weathering isn't quite as good on this one. There's some sort of pinkish blotches where whatever they've used to paint the weathering onto this, it looks like some sort of brown paint has gone awry there. But yeah, besides that, it doesn't look too bad at all, does it? So I'm going to get the rest of these out then by myself, and then I'll give you a nice close look at one of them, and then we'll put them together and make a nice big long egg train. What do you reckon? That sounds fun. So there it is then, a nice close look at the Dapol egg van, and I think this is a really reasonable piece of rolling stock. So yes, the body at least on this looks very, very similar to that old Airfix wagon I've just shown you. Whether or not it is actually the same body that they've repurposed and continued to use, I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly looks like that. Even if that is the case though, unlike, well, another company I can think of that reuses older models, whose name I won't mention except for the fact that it begins with H and ends with Hornby, this model does not pretend to be something that it's not. So even for the full price of £12.20 something, £12.21, this is not pretending to be an ultra-modern, super detailed wagon of any kind. For a price like that, you sort of know what you're getting. You can expect a degree of quality, and that's certainly what you get with this, but you're not expecting masses of detail, which is absolutely fine. The second reason, though, why it's quite acceptable, I think, is the fact that it seems to have been updated quite nicely. So first of all, we've got the weathering, and this obviously is a really good way to make older pieces of rolling stock look a lot more modern anyway. It just brings out what detail is on the model, which looks fantastic. Second of all, the underframe, the chassis seems to be almost completely new. You can see there is a degree of finesse on the underframe detail there. And we've now got metal wheels fitted, which cost quite a bit to produce as far as I know. And also NEM couplings, and they're good NEM tension lock couplings as well. They sort of pivot left and right, as you can see, which I'm sure will help performance quite a bit. Also, and if this wagon really is based on the old Airfix wagon, that makes this next point pretty impressive, but the riveting and various tinier details look a lot better on this modern one. So if I show you a shot of some of the rivets on the old Airfix one, as you can see, some of them haven't come out very well, but they look a lot better on this modern version. Now, normally toolings go in the opposite direction, right? So normally they will decay over time and get worse. So I don't know whether that means that they can't have been made using the same mould, or whether or not Dapol have found a way to improve the old moulds or not, I don't know, but it looks fine, doesn't it? And that goes with this sort of panelling / corrugated effect on the ends, which does seem to look a lot better than the old ones do. So very good. Whether the weathering is to blame for that, I don't know, but it looks the part, doesn't it? So I'm not going to pretend that this is a super detailed wagon. That's not what you'd expect for a price like £6.50, in fact. And that's certainly not what you get. However, it doesn't look bad, does it? So even though most of the bodywork is just moulding, you know, we haven't got very many separately fitted pieces on this at all, it looks all right, doesn't it? The level of moulded detail is acceptable. The paintwork is very good, and what I mean by that is, of course, the printed detail and the weathering. Yes, you can see all of the signage and the lettering on there is done to a very high standard. The underframe, even though it is quite basic, once again, just looks fantastic, doesn't it, with that weathering, especially those suspension springs above the axle boxes. They really look a treat, don't they, with all that weathering on them. So what you're getting here is quite an inexpensive model, which is excellent, but you're still getting a good level of quality and also a reasonable looking wagon, which is going to look halfway realistic on the layout, which is exactly what you want. And as a modeler, I think that's a really lovely thing to be able to choose, because these days most pieces of rolling stock are super detailed and super expensive, and so it's nice to get a bit of a break from that and just get something which is in fact cheap enough so that you can afford 5 or 6 of them without breaking the bank and still have a decent little rake of wagons. So with that, I'm going to reunite this with the other 6 egg vans, and we'll get a nice engine to haul them and we'll see how they perform. Okay, so there we have the egg vans down onto the track then, and they do look really good, I think. Having a nice uniform rake of like wagons, which are all weathered, looks fantastic. I've left one of them out, as you can see, so I'm going to put that on in front of you and we'll see how freewheeling they are. And ready to pull them, I have this little Midland 1F as well, which I think will look quite nice with those. Okay, so let's put this on the track then and find out how freewheeling it is and how easily they couple. So, yeah, that's pretty good. In fact, it's going to couple to them if I'm not careful, so I'll just... Yeah, that runs just as you want it to, doesn't it? It is wobbling a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's wobbling. So it's not 100% perfect, and I suppose, I don't know, is that realistic or not, really? I wouldn't have thought wagons would be wobbling along like that, but then again, it's not a huge issue, and that's the first one that's done that, actually. I don't think I noticed that with any of the others. Right, let's see how the coupling goes then. Right, try it again. Let's just see if that was my fault or not. No. Right, so yeah, the coupling hooks aren't engaging. Let's see if I can get this in shot just to show you. Yes, that's not very good. So basically what they've done is they've left the couplings in while they've weathered them, and the coupling hooks have seized up. Although they are moving alright, so is that just because they're drooping? So basically they don't return, they are sprung left and right so that they can pivot, but for some reason they don't sort of return to the centre point every time, so they don't couple properly. That's a bit of a shame, that's not very good. Let's try it with this one. Yeah, same problem again. That's a bit, oh, we sort of had it then. Yeah, that's a bit rubbish, that's not very good. So again, with better rolling stock, more expensive rolling stock, you wouldn't expect anything like that to happen. But now that they're coupled, just do this for a few seconds. Yeah, they don't seem to be sort of rattling free of their couplings or anything. So it seems that once they're coupled, they're okay. Right, well, let's see how the engine couples to them then, and see if we can pull it. Go on then, take it away then, lovely little Midland 1F. I'm hoping she'll be powerful enough to manage them. I'm sure she will. Right, let's follow her. Right, cross your fingers then, folks. I'm hoping this one at least will work. Right, has it? That's the question. The engine's cut out. Hang on. No, it has not. In fact, yeah, looking at that coupling there, that's at a right angle. Not a right angle, not 90 degrees. Just a right crooked angle is what I meant to say. Right, let's try this again. No, it just goes to the side when anything touches it. So the couplings are utterly useless, I must say. And I've never had any problems like that with any of my Hornby or Bachmann rolling stock. Are we coupled now? No. Right, well, so in my experience of these then, they're pretty decent, they look the part and they seem to work okay once coupled, that seems to be true. However, if you want to do shunting with them, it's going to be very frustrating because the darn couplings don't work right. Either way, let's get them started and see how they get on around the track. Slight disappointment there, but still pleased overall, I would say. So today I've set up a couple of other LMS goods trains for you. The first one is pulled by the lovely Webb coal tank, which is of course from the LNWR, I believe, so predating the LMS, but I think it did become LMS later on, so hopefully it's halfway reasonable. We have the Webb coal tank, of course, with the milk vans, as you can see, and an LMS brake on the back, of course. And we're all Bachmann today, in fact. I didn't realise I'd done this, but we've got yet another Bachmann engine, one of my newer ones. It's the Stania Mogul. There we are, with some more box vans. A lot of them aren't LMS, before you point that out. There's some LNER and some Great Western ones, but it still looks quite nice, and there is at least an LMS brake on the back. So let's catch up with the egg vans and see how they're going. So here comes the egg train, which is not a phrase I ever expected to utter when I started this channel. But coupling issues aside, which are very annoying, of course, I was going to say they look alright, but that one's just derailed on the front. Let's see if it fixes itself or not. I was going to say yes, they all look pretty good together, don't they? However, it does seem that those couplings are causing trouble, and I'm sure on this next bend there's going to be a disaster. Not good. So, admittedly, my track work isn't the best, that's true. However, I never have problems running any of my trains, which means that when I do have a problem, there's a very good chance the rolling stock is to blame. So let's get this put back on and see if we can't get a lap out of them, shall we? Right, let's try these curves again from above then, see if we can see what's happening. Yeah, so it's that curve, the coupling swings out too far and pulls itself off the track. I'm starting to see now why these were reduced. Oh, goodness sake. Oops, looks like I stopped things a little bit too abruptly. In fact, I better move that in case that web coal tank comes. Oops. So yeah, I mean, they look great, but their performance on the track can be described as nothing other than highly, highly irritating. I'm going to try and couple this one the other way just to see if the coupling on the other end behaves any better and see if we can't at least get one lap out of them, because it seems to be only that front one at least causing problems. Right. At last. It's wobbling that front one, but so that's two of them that wobble, but at least it seems to be working now. So yeah, by all means I can recommend these. They're okay for the money, but bear in mind that if you don't have the patience of a saint, you might well get driven insane by these before very long. But we might be okay now, I might have sorted it. Let's see if it works. Foolish last words, eh? No, it's just the back end of that front wagon that's derailed now, so there's a fault with its coupling, I think. I mean, they're all faulty, if we're going to be honest, but yeah, that one's particularly bad. I must say the incompetence in the way those couplings have been engineered has a bit of a DJM stench about them. Yeah, there's like two little thin pieces of metal which sit either side of each NEM coupling or NEM pocket, and they bend so that when the couplings pivot, they sort of spring them back into place, but they're so thin and flimsy that half of them aren't even in the right position, and half of them don't spring the coupling back into its normal position, which I think is what's causing the problems. But why do it that way? I don't understand. I mean, sure, if it works well, then sure, do it. If it doesn't work well, the damn thing derails every single time it goes around my layout. Although that time, we've got it, so maybe we're okay now. So I'm trying a different wagon at the front now, coupled to the engine, and I've put that dodgy one at the back. Seems to have sorted things for the time being. At least the Stania Mogul's working nicely now though, I think we've sussed that. No more jamming up on the valve gear there, which is handy. So here are my ratings then for the Dapol egg vans. Now the level of detail wasn't very good, but I don't want you to take that as a criticism, because given the price of these, even the full price, that's completely reasonable and expected. However, yes, they are relatively basic by modern standards. The biggest letdown though was the performance. There's a couple of different reasons for that, but mainly due to the couplings. So they're so overcomplicated. I don't know why they have to be so complicated. But the way that they pivot left and right on some weird sprung mechanism means that they don't meet each other properly when you couple, and they cause derailments as well, so it's a complete nightmare from a coupling point of view. Also, having bought 7 of these and not just one, it's brought to light a certain inconsistency with the quality of them as well, because one of them at least has wobbly wheels, which makes it wobble as it goes along. I wouldn't have found that out if I'd only bought one, but given that I've got 7, maybe there's a bit of inconsistency there as well. So I've given it 2 out of 5 on the performance. Very irritating, very frustrating, but otherwise not too bad. They are at least quite freewheeling, which I suppose makes up for it a little bit. Nothing to say on the mechanism, of course, because they're not motorised, which takes us on to quality. Yes, I'm going to deduct a couple of points just for the quality of the damn couplings, which have really irritated me actually. And also, once again, brought to light by the fact that I bought 7, the weathering's a bit inconsistent as well. A couple of them do have those horrible blobs of weathering paint, which isn't very realistic. So yes, they're not bad quality, the build quality is okay, but otherwise, yeah, bit dubious, bit dubious. Value for money then, even though there are faults with what you're buying, For £12.21 or £6.50 if you're lucky enough to get them reduced, this is not a bad deal. Yes, you might want to detail them up if you want a bit more detail, and yes, you might have to modify them if you want the couplings to work properly. I'll try and see if I can figure out a way to do that. But besides that, for a complete wagon with modern wheels and modern couplings, in inverted commas, I think the price is at the very least quite reasonable. So that gives us 7.01 out of 10. Not a bad score, but it could have been better very, very easily. Alright folks, well, just for the jokes, as you might say, this is what happens when we put the engine in reverse. I've just tried it to take a photo, and this happened. Let's see if it'll happen again. Marvellous. Brilliant. Well, at least with a bit of fiddling and a lot of frustration, it is now sort of working. By it, I mean the rake of egg boxes, obviously. So yeah, overall, at least I'm a bit happier now that they're actually working. I was a bit concerned for a while there, but yeah, with a bit of tinkering, they will at least make it around the layout, which is always a bonus, isn't it? So let me know in the poll, would you buy or would you avoid these? I think there's a good argument to be made for both sides of that. I think the price and the way these models look makes them quite reasonable. However, the performance I can understand being quite a big deterrent for these. So let me know anyway, overall, what do you decide? What do you think? For now though, thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any other thoughts to share on these. And with that, I will say thank you for watching, thank you for your company, and I will see you on the next one. Take care everybody, have a good week.